So what's up, everybody? This is your boy Jonathan. I'm on my lunch break, and what I wanted to talk to you about today is, social groups and why it's extremely hard to find a girlfriend or a partner through a social group, and why you should join multiple social groups and try online dating and have multiple avenues. Don't put all your eggs in social groups. And this is the reason. So, back in the day, right? Men and women, single men and women would be in like friendship circles and social groups. They would meet up, they would hang out, at school or wherever, right? And what happened is, during this time, the men and women would like each other and they would start to pair off. They would become a couple and they would leave the group to go, get married, make babies, start a family, right? And so this is how it was for many years. A lot of the people would just, find their partner in the group and then leave the group. Now, what had happened is, obviously, when a woman gets taken from the group, that's one less, single woman in the group. But at the same time, the guy would leave with her, so that's also one less person with competition. And so eventually people, unless it's in an uneven group, eventually most of the people would pair off. And if there was some people left, some stragglers, they would probably find other friends to hang out with or join other groups and, continue the process. And that's how a lot of young people back in the day found their life partners. And that's why, my dad always talks about going to church, and joining one of those social groups or being in some kind of, social service group where you help out people or whatever. You can always find girls, or that's what he says. But nowadays, it's completely hard to do that, which is why you have to have multiple social groups. And here's why. So let's talk about the men for a second, right? Now, the first men in a lot of social groups are men that absolutely positively don't know what they're doing whatsoever. They never been with a girl. They never had a girlfriend. They don't know what they're doing whatsoever. And, we can see, because there's about 40,000 incels in America that complain on those forums. And we can see that the average age of people losing their virginity has gone up to after college. There's half of America single. So it's kind of like, so there's a lot of men in those groups that don't know what they're doing, and they always got crushes on the girls. They always talk to the girls, and, that's one part of competition. That's one set of competition. And those guys aren't really going to go away unless, somebody helps them out, teaches them what to do, and helps them get a girlfriend. When that happens, then they'll go away, and that'll be less competition, and there'll be more, chances for you. Right? So that's the first thing. The second thing is guys who have experience. There's a lot of guys, they'll date a girl for 6 months to 2 years and break up and be in the market again. They don't get married. They don't settle down and have a wife and kids. And that's one of the big issues too, because then you have these guys with experience that, come in and, they'll come in and out of groups every 6 months. They'll be back every 6 months to 2 years. They'll be back on the market. Then you got to compete with them. Right. And a lot of those guys, half the time they don't even know what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? And that's, why they couldn't keep a relationship. And also, just the other thing is, there's an issue, and, there's other, so-called players, those guys that will say everything the girl wants to hear, take them out on the date, make it all the way to the sex, and then dump them and move on to the next girl. And I was in social groups with guys like that, where it was all the girls were lusting over like two guys, the alpha male of the group. You know what I'm saying? And they would go out with them for a little while until they made it up to the sex and dumped them and move on to the next person. And it was like, so you have to compete against that, right? And then on top of that, right, you have girls in the group that, are wishy-washy. They don't know what's going on. The reason is a lot of girls nowadays, they have smartphones and men can DM them all day and all night. And so a lot of those girls are getting messages all day and all night from all these other people, online dating and Facebook and all the social media. They're competing. Then when they go out with their homegirls, to the club or something, they're gonna get a couple of other guys' numbers or a couple of other guys trying to hit on them. And they're gonna also be doing other activities outside of the group. And that was another thing. Back in the day, like a lot of girls, they were more like, okay, let's stick with one social group and that's it. But now women are more independent, so it's like they'll have a social group, then they'll have their cell phone with all these guys competing on their DMs, and then they'll do other activities with other female friends and hit up the club and do all this stuff. So they got a list of men to choose from. So then when they go into the group setting, it's kind of like, let's say you go to a religious venue, and I talked about this before, and you only see a girl, one day a week. You don't know for like 6 days a week. You don't know what she's been doing for those 6 days, and you don't know how strong her social media is and who's on there talking to her. You don't know. And they come to the group, and then it's like everybody's lusting after them, but it's kind of like, a lot of times they never even get with nobody. And then the other thing, and I hate to say this, but women who have relationships already, a lot of them come into social groups for what reason? I don't know. Like, if you're in a relationship, you should be home with your man, or you should be making babies and raising a family. You should not be having a boyfriend and then coming to hang out and be social with a bunch of other dudes. And I hate to say it, it's like, yeah, you have a right to do what you want, but at the end of the day, it kind of like, it just adds to the, just bodies. It's just adding to bodies, but, there's no bodies being removed. There's no competition being removed. It's just way too many people. And so what you have to do is try to not just focus on the social groups, or not just focus on one social group, but focus on multiple social groups. Go to multiple events. If you have to, go to the clubs. If you have to, just talk to girls on the street, whatever you got to do. But don't be doing that if you don't have a job, like I mentioned before. Make sure you're working before you go and talk to girls on the street. But, hit up the online dating, whatever you got to do, because I'm telling you, if you put all your eggs in a social group, a lot of times it's not going to happen. You may get lucky once in a while, but trust me, 34 years of living in this earth and 34 years hanging around a bunch of chads and being with social groups that were like the cool kid groups, and nobody's getting nobody, like nobody's dating, it's ridiculous. So I have a little bit of experience in that respect. So that's the video. This is your boy Jonathan. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel. Leave a comment. I'll get back to you. All right, I'm out. Peace.